Hello, everyone. Welcome into another episode of the Four Quarters podcast powered by Four Quarters Media. I'm your host, Tyler Bennett, here with you once again on what is, I still believe, the internet's only U Sports and CCAA men's and women's basketball specific podcast. Again, like I said last week on episode 23, there are a few other podcasts out there that talk about university basketball in some capacity, but this is the only specific one. Episode 24 is on the books this time around. Took the Labor Day weekend off, try and rest and recover. Don't think it did what I intended it to do. Haven't shaved again in a few days, and it never grows in full, so it's just patches galore. It looks ridiculous. Episode 24, we're back. Second straight U Sports episode as well. Labor Day on a Monday. We skipped our regularly scheduled CCAA episode. We're joined by Trinity Western guard Dan Lybbert in this episode. We recorded this about a week ago. I want to say it was Thursday or Friday before Labor Day, because Dan was moving to school over the weekend and didn't want to push it into his schedule, so we recorded it a bit early. We do have some discussions around the Raptors-Celtics series, and by the time this comes out, they will be in Game 7. The Raps did win Game 6, double overtime, on Wednesday night. Forget what day it is. So they won that game. A game I don't think they had any business winning. I don't really think they should have won that game. I think Boston kind of lost it more than Toronto won it. That's fine. So we do have some discussion on that. Luckily for us, it's not dated because there's still a Game 7 on Friday night. So that covered our butts a bit on that side of it. We also look at Dan's journey in what ultimately led him to Canada in the first place out of high school, and then what's now led him to Trinity Western, where he redshirted last year, recovering from an injury, what he saw from the team overall, and what he sees for the program moving ahead. And again, we're always hoping that there's going to be some sort of 2020-21 season. Remains to be seen, but we discuss kind of what he's excited for when it comes to the future of the Trinity Western program. And then we looked at what he and his co-host Mike Clemens have going on with the Drive and Kick podcast, which you can check out. There'll be links in the description of this podcast as well to check out what they have going on. They've had some U Sports, CCAA guests. They talk the NBA. They just talk basketball in general. Two guys that know the game really, really well. They have a good back and forth banter. They respect opinions of one another. They share their own. So it's a really good listen. So if you have time, check out the Drive and Kick podcast, Spotify, iTunes, you name it, they're on it. Give them a follow on Instagram, Drive and Kick. We discussed that off the top. And then at the end, to wrap it up, kind of flipped the script on Dan a bit more, took one of their segments, the Drive and Kick podcast, and put him to the test. We may have got ourselves in some trouble down the road. If my wife listens to this, if his girlfriend listens to this, we might get in some trouble, unintentional trouble. I'll apologize now. Nothing bad was said. Just got to wait and see. But I will apologize right off the bat in case one of the two listens to this one. it is what it is. But with that all said, let's jump right in to episode 24 of the Four Quarters podcast, powered by Four Quarters Media, between myself and Trinity Western Spartans guard Dan Lybbert. Enjoy. All right, so I'm now thrilled to be joined by Trinity Western guard Dan Lybbert. Dan, first off, I want to thank you for taking time out of your day to do this. I know we're recording this on the 3rd of September, so by the time this gets out, you'll be back at school. How are things on your end right now as you get ready to head back?
It's good. First of all, I want to say thank you for having me. Second of all, yeah, it's been kind of a crazy summer. Just been kind of rehabbing an ankle injury and this and that. Kind of getting ready to get back into the swing of things. But I'm just excited to get back. I'm excited to have kind of a schedule.
Right.
Excited to be with the guys, be hooping every day. Not that I haven't been hooping every day, but it's different
Yeah.
with 2 guys as opposed to with a whole team.
Right.
You just have something to do every day. So
I guess COVID too, it kind of paid off for anybody who had to rehab an injury because you can't physically and literally do anything. So I think if you're hurt, I guess this is probably the best and worst thing to happen because you can't risk an injury any further, but you can't do anything to really rehab it either outside of your own house, which makes it a bit harder, I guess.
Yeah, no, it was good too because I was really frustrated. Like I knew I was staying off it, but at the same time, like I knew I wasn't seeing a doctor. And then the doctor that I worked with when I played here in Lethbridge opened up. He was like one of the first people to open up, so I kind of went there and got a bunch of treatment done, and it worked out really well.
You see, like that's the thing too. Like your doctors are closed, or they're only seeing like emergencies, so they're not going to let you in for a rehab. Like my wife's been trying to get into the dentist for like 3 months, and they won't take her in because it's just for cleaning. They only do emergencies, and then like everything's just an ordeal. I don't know if we'll ever like how soon we'll get back to normal, but I don't see it happening anytime soon.
Yeah.
Before we jump into kind of your story and what you guys are doing away from the court, you got to get your thoughts on Steve Nash being hired by Brooklyn. 4-year deal as their new head coach. Spent the previous 4 years at Golden State in player development role. What went through your mind when you saw that break?
The first thing that went through my mind is that's a 2-time MVP from the point guard position. I'm sure for a lot of my Canadian fellows up here, it was pretty awesome for them to see like him be hired. But the first thing I think of is the fact that elite point guards such as him or Jason Kidd is the other one that comes to mind, or Steve Kerr, they see the floor in a different way.
Right.
So putting them at the helm of things to run things, it breeds good basketball, in my opinion. But at the same time, it's going to make me question how good of a coach he actually is when he's just inheriting a team with Kevin Durant, Kyrie Irving, Karis LeVert, Spencer Dinwiddie. It's nothing to take away from him, but I mean, it's kind of the same thing as I don't know how good of a coach Steve Kerr truly is when he just inherited
that's true.
A dynasty over there. Like I think he definitely has helped bring good chemistry to that room, but I don't know how well his coaching adjustments and all that really is when you have 4 of the best 20 players in the world.
That's true. I mean, at least for Steve, like it's a pretty good position to go into with the guys you named, and they should all be healthy next year. I mean, some people online were a bit skeptical of hiring a guy who's got no coaching experience. They said guys like Mark Jackson, Ty Lue, Sam Cassell was thrown in there that should have been considered too.
Yeah.
This seemed like it kind of came out of nowhere. I didn't really hear that Nash was even involved in the search. It's kind of caught me by surprise, but as a Canadian, I mean, we've only had like Jay Triano as a head coach before as a Canadian. So I think this is big for us. I mean, as Canadians, we don't see many of our folk behind the bench.
Yeah, no, 100%. And I think I was definitely surprised to a lot of people because also their interim head coach Jacques Vaughn was doing a great job in the bubble. But as I said, I don't think it's something that people can really debate with when he led the league in assists so many years in a row. Like, if you're a true basketball fan, you know that this man sees the floor differently, and that even if it fails, it's a good project because I don't mind seeing Steve Nash see what happens with him head coaching a team.
The worst thing that could happen is they miss the playoffs or whatever. But I mean, like you said, sees the floor just so much different than others, and the way he played, like the level he played at, it was just incredible. And I read he asked Dirk to come back too, but Dirk's not ready yet. Asked him to be an assistant coach, and Dirk said no.
Yeah, I mean
that'd be something else.
Yeah, that'd be definitely interesting. Bring back those Dallas days. I just think it'd be crazy because guys like that, Steve Kerr, like is the prime example. He may not be the best actual coach that we know of just yet, but if Steve Nash can come in there and get KD and Kyrie to work, the thing is we don't know if it works. Obviously, two amazing players, but we don't know if it works. And they have so many good pieces around them. You can just get that room to work as a unit,
right?
And maybe influence Kyrie's decision making a little bit. Man, that's going to be special because we know Kyrie is nasty. We know what he can do, but we also know that he hasn't won anything without being on LeBron's back.
Right. Now you can say he's on KD's back, but we haven't seen, like you said, we haven't seen them work together yet, so we don't know what they're going to bring. But for Kyrie to have now Steve leading the way, like that's huge for him. I think as just a player, like for his career, that's going to do wonders for him.
Yeah, no, exactly. I mean, as a top point guard in the NBA, I would hope that his assist numbers go up, but I would even look for his assist numbers to be top 5 in the league now.
Yeah, that's true. Like if he can get, like you said, if you can get like a Steve Kerr kind of chemistry build in that team, and then kind of let them almost figure out their own roles as they go.
Yeah,
I think that's going to be like the easiest way for him to do year one is just get them working as a unit, and then let them kind of figure out who does what on the floor, and then not saying they're going to have Golden State level success, but
it looks pretty good. I'll tell you that.
If I'm a first year head coach and this is the team I was given, you don't mess this up. You are in a good position, and like Jared Allen, I'm a big Jared Allen guy too. Like there's a lot of pieces.
They have some pieces. They are.
But coaching's ruthless, though. You saw what Indiana did with McMillan, and I think that was a bit premature. I mean, didn't have playoff success, but you look at what they had to go through for like 5 years in a row.
Yeah. I mean, I think even just looking at the Raptors, and they got rid of their coach of the year.
Right.
After he was coach of the year. I mean, it's ruthless, but it's also not your call which sucks. But like you just gotta trust that the GM is smart enough and he's doing the making the right decision. So
for the Raptors, it kind of worked out. Now I think Indiana's trying the same thing, see what happens, and you're not going to have the same success the Raptors did, but
it
never hurts to give it a shot and see what happens.
We'll see how well it works out post Kawhi, because right now they're down 2-0. I mean, I still love the Raptors. I love the way they play. I think they're a great team, but I don't know who they're putting the ball in whose hands to kind of win a game right now. So
by the time this comes out, the series could very well be over.
Oh, shoot.
Do you think the Raptors can come back, or do you think Boston's going to go run away with the series, and by the time this comes out on the 10th, Boston will be in the Eastern Conference Final based on how the first 2 games went?
I think the Raptors come back and make it interesting because they've also been shooting terrible. Like, I don't know who's going to win the series, but they've been shooting some of the worst they've shot all year.
Yeah.
And I trust Nick Nurse to make the right adjustments.
I'm pulling up the schedule so I can see when it ends, because if it doesn't end by then we might be okay. Game 3 is today when we're recording this. Game 4 Saturday. Monday's 5, so game 6 would be Wednesday when this could be over. This will come out Thursday, so game 6 will be the night before.
Wow.
Oh, this is.
I don't know. I hope it's still going for my viewing sake,
Right.
But at the same time, Boston's looking pretty nasty with 3 elite scorers.
Right.
No.
And Toronto hasn't beat them in the bubble yet. I think they're 0-3.
Yeah, exactly. And I don't know. The thing is, Boston is just as well coached.
Mm-hmm.
They both play incredible team defense, but right now, just Boston has that edge as far as they have 3 elite go-to options. I'm not saying the Raptors don't have any go-to options, but no one's really kind of sticking out at this particular moment in the series.
Mm-hmm. And Boston's got that confidence now too. They beat the champs twice back to back.
Mm-hmm.
Siakam's struggled as the go-to guy. I hope it's still going.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say I think it's gonna end that Wednesday though. It's gonna end the day before.
Man, I don't know. I want it to go at least 6. At least 6.
Yeah. Well, for your sake, right? You and Mike, you do your Drive and Kick podcast, talks NBA, along with U Sports, CCAA, basketball in general. For you guys, that's the longer the series goes, the more you guys have to talk about.
The more content, exactly. So for our sake, they need to pick it up.
For your sake, every series should go 7, and just whoever knows what happens, whatever happens, happens.
Exactly.
So you and Mike Clemens, co-host of the Drive and Kick podcast, something you guys started up during COVID.
Mm-hmm.
How did this whole podcast come about? Was this something that you guys had talked about before when you guys played together, or did it just kind of come out of the blue? Let's do something during COVID to keep busy.
So I think we had talked, like, it was very, very brief. I think we had both talked about in the past at some point, like we know Mike is very self-aware, and he knows that he has a plan for what he wants to do with his life, this and that, and I do too, right? But he realizes that the wave of things that are hot right now and that are making money is content,
right?
And he feels as though he is a good enough basketball mind and can talk about basketball all day that his content would be good, and I 100% agree.
Yeah.
And so he started out doing some Instagram lives called State of Hoop, and he was trying to make kind of his own podcast. But we were both in Lethbridge at the time because I came here to stay with my girlfriend during this lockdown, and Mike was still here.
Mm-hmm.
We were kind of still getting together. We were kind of talking here and there. And then one day he just hits me up and he's like, "Do you want to be my co-host?" I'm like, "Hell yeah." That was pretty much the birth of it right there. I mean, we both, and I think he asked me because he knows that I also love the game, and I can speak well about it. I'm not opinionated to the point where I won't let you speak. I think I have educated opinions and educated views without saying, if you disagree with me, you're wrong. End of story. And that's something that kind of he always looks for with someone that he can talk basketball with. And me too, because if you're someone that is just, it's your way or you're wrong, that's not fun.
No,
I don't know exactly how to explain it. But so then we kind of started on this journey it's been super fun.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think it's been about blowing up or making money or whatever.
No.
And obviously we haven't even come close to that. But just the fact that we wanted to be able to reach out to people with our stories, with other people's stories, and just kind of highlight the struggles and the successes of this journey through basketball. Because so many kids, so many people chasing the hoop dream. We don't know, for some people that ends in coaching, for some people that ends in you get a paid for education, for some people that ends in you're playing in Europe or the league or whatever.
Right.
But it's not all pretty. And we want to highlight it from a more relatable point of view. All the basketball podcasts you hear, it's NBA guys saying, "Oh, I was a D1 All-American, but I didn't play much in the McDonald's game, so I felt slighted." Well, not many people can relate to that, and it's good
No.
content because it's famous guys,
Right.
but we're trying to highlight, the U Sports, the CCAAs, the NCAA D3, D2, D1. Like we know so many people at so many levels that we felt like our network alone could get us jump started,
Yep.
and then expanding that would just be able to keep either growing our guests and keep growing our listeners. And I think so far it's going pretty well. Obviously, we're not booming just yet.
Yeah.
But it's been something really fun. It's been something really good to do. It helped keep me on a schedule. Like it was like
Right.
planning workouts around when we can get a guest in. We've been figuring out how to get our sound better. We've been figuring out how to promote ourselves. It's been something really fun. So even if it's something that doesn't blow up this specifically, I think we've learned a lot, both from our guests and just from this process of managing a brand per se.
I think if you go into it with the mindset of, I want to blow up, I want to make money right off the bat, you're going to fail.
Yeah.
Nobody knows how to do it right from season 1, episode 1. That's not how things are going to work out. But like listening to what you guys have done so far, like the back and forth, like you said, having an opinion, but you have that dialogue where you understand what Mike's saying or what your guests say, and then you don't say, "Oh no, my opinion's right, you're wrong."
Right.
You guys have that camaraderie, that back and forth banter that helps and really showcases what both of you guys think. And like the guests you guys have had so far too have been, like, as you guys say, they're all certified.
Yeah.
Like you had Kenny, Casey Bosch on the last one, which was wicked to listen to. You had your guy Q, Trinity Western, Corey Richardson, Ty Nichols. Like the list that you guys have so far has been fantastic. And you guys are like, what, 12 episodes in? 11 or 12 overall? Like it's
11. Yeah, 11.
Like it's, to me, like podcasts are fun. Like doing this kind of stuff is wicked.
It's 100% fun. And it's like, I think the coolest part to me has been just the fact that I'm learning just as much as I feel like I'm not just, obviously I know whoever's listening is hopefully learning something, but I know that I'm learning something from the people that I'm having on, because we're kind of taking turns getting people that I know, getting people that Mike knows, kind of exhausting our resources there. And it's just been kind of crazy, because even people I know, I'm learning stuff that I didn't even know about them, and I've known them for years. And it's been really interesting to hear, as I said, the highs and the lows of everyone, because everyone's story is so unique with the same goal in mind. It all kind of funnels in. So,
and on the outside, like all we see as fans is what you see on the court. Like you don't see the injuries behind the scenes, the torn ACLs, the academic struggles, the trying to balance everything in one day, like trying to remember to eat, practice midday, going to class, trying to work part-time job, heaven forbid, you have to do that as well. Like there's so much that goes into it that we don't ever see.
Yeah.
We see 2 hours on the court and that's it. There's so much more that makes the person, because that's what they are. They're
people.
But they're people. They're not athletes. They're people.
Yeah.
We don't really know what makes them a person. So hearing stories that you guys have shared have been wicked. And like you said, you learn just as much as the listeners do. Like I'll find myself sitting here listening to stories on people's journeys, and like I forget I have to ask a question or follow up. I'm like, okay, I'm listening, and then they stop, and I'm like, oh shit, it's my turn. What am I supposed to say now? Like it's really, and like hearing like how they're motivated through certain injuries or certain steps in their life, or how they overcame challenges. It's really eye-opening. It's really refreshing to see that side of it that you never see on a regular basis, unless it's big name NBA guys who had to only play 20 minutes at the All-American game.
Yeah, exactly.
What a shame.
Well, and it's not to take anything away, because we're all people. Even the NBA guys are people, but it's see how someone who, for example, at the youth sports level may not be getting a full ride scholarship or needs, just so many other struggles that come just from not being D1 or from not being able to go home and say, I'm in this mansion with $20 million coming in my check. That is just really humbling to see that, like, someone you may think is better than you or you think you're better than is handling something that's way harder in a way better way, and you don't even know it.
And it's far more relatable to far more people than hearing the NBA success stories. Hearing from U Sports, CCAA, JUCO, NAIA, whatever, is far more relatable to most basketball players than the NBA dreams or what they're doing, because that's going to tailor to your 5-star recruits, 4-star maybe. You've got 1, 2, and 3 stars that may have a dream of playing pro, but it could be Europe, it could be anywhere.
Yep.
Like these stories, hearing how someone overcame this injury may affect somebody who's in that same situation. Okay, this is what they did. This is where they are now. Okay, if I can still overcome this and achieve what I want to.
Yeah.
It's far more relatable, and it helps grow the Canadian product, which I think desperately needs more love and attention.
1,000%. 1,000%.
I think it's painful the lack that people know or pay attention until nationals, and then it's done. I can go on that for hours.
Yeah, no, me too. It's from what I've kind of seen as far as media outlets and stuff like that, I'm not talking about you, but just in general, I feel like people don't watch the games here.
No.
Like when you're picking awards, you're picking this and that. I mean, I completely disagree with Brett Layton, for example, getting Player of the Year.
Okay.
Not that I think he's a bad player. That's not my point. But I just think players with more skill and more to offer to a team were far more important to their teams throughout the year.
That's valid.
It's just clear that even at ACAC, Canada West, those are the only 2 levels I've played, but that people just sit down, they look at who's averaging the most points, and they say, okay, this is my all-star team right here, top 5. And that's not how it's like. It just shows the lack of knowledge and the lack of effort that's being put into it, and that really bothers me, because there is a lot of good talent up here that's not
There's
being
a ton. There's a ton of talent up here.
I came up here thinking, not that I would dominate, but thinking, I grew up in the States. I grew up a certain way. Like, I only came up here because I had like a smidgen of Canadian connection or whatever. So I'm Canadian, so I could get the citizenship, which was cool. But I thought, man, this is going to be easy. No, it's not. There are some dogs up here, and not just the American kids. The Canadian kids can play too. It may be a different mentality, but I don't know why sometimes people, I'll go home and people are like, oh, you're playing in Canada? Like, what league is it up there? I'm like, I would compare U Sports, and I've heard people compare U Sports to like low-level D1 to high-level D2. It just depends where you're at. But as I said, we just don't get the attention, which it can be an advantage to be slept on, but at the same time, kids need that exposure, because there are kids here that have the same talent or better that are at these U Sports, CCAA schools that just aren't getting the attention just because of the lack of notoriety that we get up here.
I think like local media does what it can. I think even that is atrocious across the board. SIDs, you're asking one person to cover God knows how many teams at a school. There's so much that I think can be done that it just, I don't know how we get there. But yeah, a lot of it up here, like media-wise, is numbers-based, and it's not watch a game, understand what they mean to a team, like how vital they were to their success. They see numbers. You can make the case for Cadre Gray in the OUA.
Exactly.
Yeah, he was a fantastic player, but he shoots a ton of free throws, and that's going to pad your offensive numbers. Not to say he's not good, not to say he's not an all-star, but is he a 3-time player of the year? I don't know. I don't think so.
Yeah.
There's a lot of guys out here in Ontario that can play, and a lot more players that were key to their team's success overall. Like, I don't know. But, I mean, I don't get a vote, so probably for the best anyways.
100%. Well, and it's just funny because, you look at all conference teams and D1s and stuff like that. There's only one guy that's the leading scorer in the conference, and then everyone else is either the guy that was defensive player of the year but averaged 6 points a game, or the guy, like little things like that. It's just I understand why it's a problem, because up here the mentality is different. Sports don't seem to be as important. To hear it's clear to me that to hear up here, it's you go to school, you get to play sports on the side, but it's to get your degree and kind of continue to just live the life you want in society.
Yep.
It's just kind of the mentality and the culture and how the system works up here, which I understand it, but I don't like it.
That's fair. I think there's some tweaks that goes institution level, college, like league level, national organization level. There's a lot of changes that can be made that I don't think would cost a lot of money. I think that's the biggest argument people have in Canada, is it costs too much money for not a lot of attention.
Yeah.
But it's very little, I think, financially to put forward to grow the attention, grow the level of respect around the league.
Yeah.
Because I think, even like you said, people in Canada don't watch games. They don't really respect the U Sports and CCAA basketball. And I think, like, with it being canceled this year, there hasn't really been, or suspended until January, hasn't really been much pushback from the public.
Yeah.
And you think that maybe if they knew more about it, they understood more of the athletes, coaches, whatever goes into it, maybe they'd be a bit more upset. But they're just like, oh, okay, well, it's not coming back, then we'll watch it in the winter, maybe. They're only with football they're worried about, hockey they're worried about, but basketball, for some reason, I don't know. I don't get it.
It's frustrating because the schools I've been at, we get fans to the games. Like, it's not that people don't want to watch basketball or don't like basketball. I just think because outside of your university, wherever you go, it doesn't feel like there's fans. But there's people like here in Lethbridge, for example. I didn't realize how much people care about basketball. Like, I'll be at the mall and someone was like, "Great game last night." I'm like, I don't know you. And it's not to say that I was like great or this or that. I'm just saying, like, people are watching that you don't know are watching.
Yeah.
And so that's what's been interesting to me is I think people want if it was there, if the service was supplied, I think it would be very happily taken advantage of. But the thing is, people also like are happy to just kind of go with the flow. People aren't going to speak up for what they want.
Right.
No.
Yeah, that makes sense. And I mean, I think once you go to a game once, you're hooked, and you'll go back, you'll see those fans. Like, a lot of schools have a ton of fans, like a loyal fan base, but then there's other schools that struggle to get 50 people a night. And I think you probably got both sides of the coin in Canada. I think there needs to be more people talking about it all year round. Because I don't know about you guys with your podcast, but I haven't received any pushback.
Oh, yeah, no.
In 2 years, knock on wood, it doesn't happen now. But nobody's really objected to more coverage.
Yeah.
It's as long as you don't really paint anybody in a bad light intentionally.
Yeah.
You're not going to get any pushback, and more coverage anybody can get, the better.
Right.
So we just need more people doing just a little bit more to get, and this is for all sports at both levels, not just basketball. Just more people talking about it so people know that it's there all year round, and they don't have to wait 6 months when the season's over to figure out what's going on again.
Yeah. Well, and it feels like it would be easier to cover all these schools up here because combine both CCAA and U Sports, I don't even think it's 100 schools. Or might be barely cracking 100. Like it's not like
there's 112.
Okay, yeah. So it's not like it's back home where D2s and D3s or NAIs are complaining. Like, no, there's still 300 or 400 of your type of those schools.
Mm-hmm.
So it's fair that maybe only the D1s get the attention, but even the low-level D1s get more attention than Calgary or Carleton are probably getting up here.
Like you can click on ESPN now probably, and there's a college basketball story on front page, or you'll click on their men's basketball page on ESPN, and there's going to be mid-majors featured for God knows whatever reason.
Yeah.
But you'll go here, and there's not even a tab for. There's a university tab, a generic university tab that's all sports, and I'll guarantee most of it's football or hockey or whatever, and that's U Sports. Heaven forbid if you find a college link, I would be shocked to find that somebody actually did an article on the CCAA at a major sports network in Canada.
Yeah, I guess it is what it is. Like, obviously, I want it to change, but I don't even know where you start because it has to be a top to bottom kind of sweep, in my opinion.
It's not easy. Like I just pulled up TSN on my phone right now, and they have all their sports listed. They have NCAA, but the 13th tab is NCAA. You have to go down to about 38 for U Sports.
Wow.
It's below the Invictus Games, the Women's World Cup of Soccer, which is only every 4 years. I don't know why that's above U Sports. We are above horse racing and lacrosse, wrestling, and other sports. We are the 4th bottom league on TSN. That's painful. I wish I didn't look at that.
That hurts.
And again, it's just generic esports. There's no sports. There's no, and it's just esports.
Yeah.
But we can hope.
Yeah, exactly.
I think they need to hire us to help.
They need to hire us to just take over. This is what we need to do. We need unlimited funding, and we'll fix everything.
See, use your network, use mine. The 3 of us will get Mike involved.
Oh yeah.
And we're on the up and up. TSN or Sportsnet, if anybody listens, our DMs are open. Just let us know.
Ready.
We can step up and do our thing. The last article they had was Leanna Osei honoring her brother through the Black Canadian Coaches Clinic or Association. That was July 29th, and the last one before that is U Sports altering the eligibility. Painful.
Kind of up to date.
Kind of, but we could do a lot better, I think. So TSN, Sportsnet, whoever, let us know. We'll be happy to help, be part of the solution. Looking at your basketball journey to Canada from Arizona. First off, was basketball always your go-to sport growing up, or was there other things that you pondered taking further than basketball?
Well, basketball was probably my first love, just based on the fact that my dad played. I don't know if I would say that he put a ball in my hands. He kind of let me pick what I wanted, but I remember going to like his men's league games and being like, man, like he's killing. And it wasn't, I knew he played, but I didn't realize how good he really was.
Okay.
And so Yeah, he kind of taught me how to shoot. Like you can put a ball in his hands right now, and you'll understand. And
Really? Okay.
talking about like
Yep.
it's one of those. He hasn't touched the ball in probably since the last time he worked me out, probably over a year ago, and
Really?
you'll see.
Okay.
Yeah. Um, but my parents tried to get me to play everything just to see what I liked. I'm half Mexican,
Okay.
so soccer was kind of really bred into me just by that culture.
Mm-hmm.
But I would say basketball was still my first love. It was basketball, soccer, and I still played football and baseball. But I always had a special spot for basketball just because of my pops.
Who would win in a shooting contest now, you or Pops?
Oh, the thing is I mean, here's the thing: does he get to train for a little bit?
Yeah, you gotta give him. Well, I'd leave that up to you. Would you give him time to warm up, or would you let him just go in cold and see what happens?
Here's the thing: the last time he worked me out, he was like, "Oh, I haven't shot this since the last time I worked you out," and that was also like a year in between.
Okay.
And he just pulls up to the top of the key and swooshes like smooth. So listen, I think I'll win just
Okay.
based off of me being in better shape. But
Okay.
reverse the clock 20 years, it might be a little close.
Okay. Give him some time to work out and get into
Yeah,
somewhat game shape, and then he's just.
yeah,
But
exactly.
the fact that you can go a year without working you out or just whatever, and just pick up a ball and first shot's just too easy.
He's smooth, and you talk to him, he'll be modest, but he's smooth.
Okay. So we kind of see where you got it from then.
Yeah,
He taught you what you know.
yeah, 100%, 100%.
Going into high school, was you mentioned everybody having a basketball goal. Was the goal D1 for you, or was it basically what we're getting as why Canada? Like how did that come about in your recruiting
Right.
process?
Yeah, so it's kind of interesting what happened in high school. I started at a big public school,
Okay.
Pinnacle High School, where Nico
Mm-hmm.
Manning went. That's kind of where people know that school from.
Mm-hmm.
Um, it didn't work out quite how I wanted it to there. I just wasn't mixing with the coaches how maybe I would have wanted to. And I
Right.
wasn't trying to run away from competition or anything, but I just felt, and my parents felt like it was a need for a change. And we also wanted me to focus on academics a little more. So
Right.
I went to this high academic school called Scottsdale Prep. And I'd never heard of them, but they were really, really good. They were just on the verge of being really, really good. And then I came and we were really, really good. We had two back-to-back state championship runs,
Oh damn. Okay.
and I still hold 2 to 3 shooting records in the state of
Mm-hmm.
Arizona
Yep.
just from that. I'm not trying to boost myself. This is just
Hey, if you
these are
if you
facts.
if you hold the records, 100% boost yourself. If you
Well, this is
hold state
I'm just saying
records,
the fact. I'm just saying the facts.
exactly. That's all they are. They're just facts.
Yeah. So, but what happened was when I transferred, I was supposed to sit out a year.
Mm,
And if I didn't sit out a year, I would have had to appeal to get that year back for my senior year.
okay.
So after we just lost 2 state championships, it was going to finally be I wouldn't say my team because we had other really good players,
Mm,
but I would have been one of our better guys. Not that
mm-hmm.
I wasn't before, but just it would have been the
Yep.
ball in my hands a lot more, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I wasn't able to play my senior year. I lost the appeal, but I had some D1 interest. Like in AAU, I had a couple of good tournaments where Pepperdine was contacting me and
Okay.
Northern Arizona was contacting me. But I knew I was very self-aware of the fact that I was small.
Okay.
So and unathletic. So I knew what kind of I needed to have my sights on either really low major or D2 or NAI.
Mm-hmm.
And I was very self-aware, which I think is very helpful for
Yeah.
someone at
I
that
think
age.
think there's a lot of kids too that aren't as self-aware as they need to be. I think having that ability to kind of look yourself in the mirror and be like, okay, this is what I'm good at. This is what are my weaknesses. This is where I should be.
Right.
a lot of people kind of chase a D1 dream because they feel like it's D1 or bust, but there's guys that go D1 one year and get just absolutely chewed up, destroyed, and then they're back where they should be. It's a year learning experience, but having that ability as a high school senior to be like, this is where I need to be, you don't see that every day. The self-awareness.
Exactly. And obviously I still wanted to shoot high and just kind of land somewhere. But I just, obviously I knew what was up. I knew what the jig was.
Mm-hmm.
And so I couldn't play my senior year in like, over there you have summer league and fall league before you actually have the high school season. And I played in all of that kind of assuming that it would happen, that I would play. And we were a smaller school, but we always competed well against the bigger schools. And just because we got really lucky with the talent that we had assembled for those kind of 3 to 4 years that I was there.
Mm-hmm.
Excuse me. And so just got lucky. I had a lot of D2 interest, a lot of D3 NAI interest, and just I had a couple NAI offers, like some really local offers and some JUCO local offers, but without film of my senior year, or like with coaches contacting me and being like, okay, when can I come watch you play? And I was like, oh, well, this is what happened.
Right.
It was kind of tough.
Right.
So and the thing was for me, I didn't want to play AAU after high school anymore. Like I kind of wanted it to be done after high school, but obviously that didn't work out. So at one of my last AAU tournaments, I just kind of out of nowhere was getting recruited again a little bit. And then my dad was like, you're part Canadian. Why don't you look into some schools up there? I'm sure they'd be interested.
Right.
So sent out a few emails, and I started being recruited by the University of Lethbridge and the University of Calgary. And those were the only 2 emails I got back, but then they looked at me, they had me up for some workouts, and I got offers from both of them.
Okay.
So it was pretty much Canada or local NAI that I wasn't too interested in.
Did you know much about U Sports or like being part Canadian? Did you know much about Canada as a whole growing up in Arizona?
I definitely, well, I had family up here that I came and visited for sure, and like I knew my way around certain areas, but it was way different than Arizona. It was way different than the States. I definitely wasn't aware of college basketball up here, or even the level of college basketball. Like I didn't realize at the time that Calgary was so good. I took it for granted. And then, I came on a couple visits, kind of weighed out my options, and decided that the U of L was kind of the best spot for me at the time.
Yeah, because you did, correct me if I'm wrong, year at U of L, then transferred to Lethbridge College for 2018-19, put a year there, and then now sat out last year, redshirt at Trinity Western, and now gearing up for this season with the Spartans.
I actually played 2 years at the college. It should have been 1, just because of an injury that I played through. That's why I sat out last year. But that's pretty much the gist of it.
Okay. So what led you then to Trinity Western? Like, why the Spartans over whoever else was recruiting you?
Man, it was a combination of things. So I had a good first year at Lethbridge College. I had a concussion towards the end of the year, but right before my concussion, I was a top 10 shooter in the country. That's just the facts. I don't like to come off as too braggy, but I can say the facts.
People can look it up and they'll see the numbers. So it's
exactly. So that happened, and then we lost early in the playoffs, and I was disappointed with how that went. So I wanted to come back, and I told my coach, I want the ball in my hands. I want to be an all-star in the ACAC. I know I can do it. I want this to happen. First preseason game at Lethbridge College, my second year, It's me, Mike, Orrin Porter, Lincoln Anderson, who's now plays at Mount Royal, someone else. We had a couple of different centers, but we had a squad.
Just those four there is a squad. That's tough. That's a tough group of four.
Yeah, we felt so as well. And so our first preseason game against Ambrose, I had 17 through 3 quarters. Everything felt great. And then I just blew out my ankle, landed on someone funny. And I was extremely upset because that summer was the hardest I've worked and the best I felt coming into a season in a long time. So that happened. I kind of tried to rush back and play because to me that was I wanted to get out of Lethbridge College. No offense to Lethbridge College. I just knew I was a U Sport player and I wanted a chance again. And so, yeah, that season just ended up not going how I wanted it to. Just injuries and kind of everything that happened.
Yeah.
So I just I had to put my pride aside. And I didn't ask my coach for any help. I didn't ask anyone for any help. I just kind of put my head down and worked. And I send out so many emails a day. Just give me a chance. Because I knew I didn't stand out on paper. And those are the guys that get recruited back to U Sports or whatever. So I knew I didn't stand out. So I knew I had to do the work myself. And it was just a really humbling summer. The way I ended up at Trinity, man, it was crazy because Trevor Pretty, my coach, he got hired super late.
Yeah.
I was already talking to one of the assistants, and he was like, I think that we should be able to offer you barring we get a new coach or not. And I'm like, awesome. No, I'm excited. And my girlfriend was already planning on going out to Trinity Western herself.
Oh, that works out.
So would have been I was excited. I felt like it was going to happen. And then the assistant coach texts me back and he's like, hey, we just hired a new coach. He's going to come in with all his contacts. He probably won't offer you whatever. So I'm like, man,
dang,
it was really frustrating.
I can imagine.
So then I'm like, man, I just have to find the best position for me. So I had an offer from Red Deer College and from Douglas College were kind of the two that stood out to me. And I just wasn't sure what to do. And so it was early August, like that's super late in the summer. And my girlfriend was just like, well, you haven't talked to this new coach at Trinity Western. Why don't you email him? Like you were talking to the other guy. Why don't you email him? And I emailed Trevor, and I guess one thing led to another. I ended up flying out to Trinity for a visit. They had some kind of summer fest tournament happening. He was like, well, come up, you can play, you can work out with us. We'll see if it's a good fit. He saw some of my film. I sent him some of my best film and my highlights and stuff. And he seemed to like what he saw, system wise and everything. And I went there. I love talking to Coach Trevor. Like that dude can talk basketball forever. And just how he was talking to me, I could tell that he wasn't a guy that was just gonna recruit one really good American and just let him go. That's obviously what happened just because of how good Q is.
That's true. Yeah. Q
went crazy, but he was very adamant about, I want you because I know you can shoot and play well in transition. And that right there was so much better than me hearing what I was hearing from other coaches, basically saying, we're excited to possibly have you because we know that you bring experience in shooting. So that doesn't give me a sense as to what my role is going to be or anything. And so pretty much as soon as I left, he called me the next day and he goes, like, are you going to come here or what? And I said, hell yeah, I'm over there right now. I'm signing right now.
That's wicked.
Yeah, it was kind of a whirlwind, but it's worked out for the best. It's definitely been my favorite school that I've been at, and I feel like I'm there for a reason. I'm just excited to finally get to it this year.
Was the goal to always stay out west, or were you open to going anywhere from East Coast, the West Coast, wherever you could find that right fit for you?
I was definitely open to going anywhere. Obviously, having a girlfriend changes things.
That's true. Yeah, it does.
She'll listen to this. So I gotta say that, but
That's true. You got to throw it. You got it's again. It's the truth. It's just a fact.
no, it is. It's a fact.
Yeah.
So, actually, after my first year, I was hearing from some East Coast schools like the Pissing and like
Mhm.
I don't know some other schools over there. I don't remember their names, but
Yep.
I I definitely was open to going out there, but I also felt like I had unfinished business in Canada West because I never felt like I got a true chance to do what I can do. So I kind of wanted to stay out here if I could.
The West Coast is nice. Like I lived out in Calgary and Canmore for 2 years.
Hmm.
It's so much nicer compared to here in Ontario. Like just sheer lifestyle. Like if it was either a school out west or school here,
Hmm.
it's an easy.
Yeah, I can definitely see that. Like for me, being in Lethbridge was different just because I'm a
Yeah,
big
that's true.
kid.
Yeah.
But I can definitely appreciate the beauty of it out here and how nice everyone lives, to be
Hmm.
honest.
That's true.
So it's definitely been different, but being over there, I love the weather compared to here.
I
But
guess that's fair. Yeah.
like, yeah, the rain kind of sucks, but it's better than 8 months of snow. So
Yeah. Yeah. Snow. I hate snow.
yeah,
It
it's
sucks. It's probably the worst part of Canada. Like I just can't do it.
I'm a warm weather guy. Got the Latino in me. I grew up in Arizona. I don't mix
Doesn't
with cold.
the combination of that doesn't really equal a
Mm-mm,
guy who loves snow.
mm-mm. It doesn't.
And like I'm born and raised in Ontario. Like the snow, I don't need it to be hot. I don't care if it's hot or not. Like I love the heat, but just don't go below zero. Like
Yeah.
I'm okay. Just don't snow. I don't care. Maybe I don't know if it's the snow. I just don't know. I don't like the cold. I think that's the
I
main thing.
100% agree. I don't like having to put on more than a hoodie. If I have to put on a jacket, I'm upset.
My my parents would buy me a winter coat like every year, every 2 years growing up, high school, whatever. It's hoodie, windbreaker at most, and freezing at the bus stop. But I will not wear a winter coat because I refuse to acknowledge that it's that cold.
Yeah.
And I don't
Yeah.
know how many heart attacks I probably gave them, or how many stressful days they had of me just going out in a windbreaker and a coat and a sweater and just calling it a day. But I mean, you get used to the cold after a while, but he's never learned to like it.
No, not at all. Oh, and the thing is, like, the first every year I was here, the first snow week, I wouldn't go to class. It was it was too much for me. I couldn't do
You
it.
gotta mentally prepare yourself for it. Like it's an ordeal to go
it's
out.
it's tough, and then it's getting dark at 5 p.m. It doesn't feel right. It doesn't feel right.
Like you're getting up and like it's bright at like 5 in the morning, but
Hmm.
then you leave class at like 4:30 and there's no light. It's dark.
Yeah,
Like, that's not what I signed up for.
no, it is not.
And like heaven forbid you have a late class, like you sleep in, you're
Oh
waking
yeah,
up at 9, 10, whatever hour. You have 5 hours, 6 hours of sunlight,
yeah.
and then it's
No,
dark.
whenever I had early morning classes, which was actually every year, I struggled so much when it was snowing outside because it's not even the the darkness and the brightness. It's the fact that
Mm.
it's freezing out there.
It's cold in the
You
morning.
don't want to, and then you gotta get up extra early to warm up your car to defrost your window.
Shovel.
Oh my goodness.
I
Yeah.
remember like, out here, it's more of a damp cold, but we never got like minus 30, minus 40. Remember the first day I was in Calgary and it said it was like minus 37. And I'm like, it's a dry cold. Like, I'm going to be fine. Like, again, stupid me, hoodie, spring jacket. I'm walking like 4 minutes across the street to work. Like, I'm not far. Walked out that back door and that cold just smacked me right in the face, like
Mm.
every which way. And that never again. Like, that
No,
is probably one of the worst colds. And it was like 2 weeks of like minus 30.
it's terrible. And the thing is, Alberta
Hell.
is the worst.
It's hell.
When Alberta isn't even the worst. I've been to Winnipeg to play them. That place is terrible. I've been to
Winnipeg is just a
yeah,
rough city overall.
horrible. I don't know how people live in Canada sometimes.
I question my life choices sometimes when it's like you'll get like 3-4 seasons in a day, especially out west. Like it'll rain one day, like in the morning, then it's going to snow in the afternoon, and then it's like 30 degrees in the evening. Like we golfed one day in July and it hailed, and we're in like toques, pants, sweaters, gloves, and then the sun came out. I'm like, what is this? I can't do it anymore.
No,
it's ridiculous.
I'm excited. It's been tough to not be able to go home for a while, but I'm excited to get back to it whenever that is.
One last one before I stole a page out of your guys' book too for the end. Your little speed round at the end. We're gonna put you on the speed round. We got some tough ones too. I'm not gonna lie.
Why me?
We don't actually have tough ones. They're not even close. What are some of your goals for this year? Obviously, the season's been suspended until January. I'm operating under the impression that we're going to have a season because I'm going to speak it into existence. It's going to happen. We're going to have basketball. What are some of your goals for this year, both for yourself and the team now that you're ready to play?
Man, that's a good one. Well, first of all, I hope that they just come out and say that this is an exhibition year that won't take eligibility. Right. Just because I would rather not take a year of eligibility playing 5 teams 7 times or something like that. 5 teams 5 times.
Right.
But my goals individually are just to earn myself, like whatever role I earn, I just want to make the most of it because that's all it is. Like if you're a good team and you're maximizing your role, that's how everyone gets their shine instead of the one guy averaging 30 on the 0-16 team.
Right.
I think it was a huge blessing in disguise, the fact that I was able to redshirt last year to both nurse my ankle and get acclimated to the new coach and the new place and kind of what expectations are for me. And then to surpass those and prove myself. I'm coming in with not high expectations because you got to stay kind of level-headed, but I know what I can do and I know what I bring to the table. So I'm excited to finally show that feeling healthy too, because it's funny. Throughout the year, my coach kept asking me, Trevor kept asking me, he's like, "Are you really hurt? Like you don't look hurt." And I knew I could play through it, but it's something I didn't want to waste a year playing with.
Right.
And
that makes sense.
Yeah, and so I did well. Like I feel like I proved myself. I definitely earned the ability to come back, earn my keep. But now I want to prove myself again, and I want to prove it even harder, even better, because I know what I can do. And my thing is I know what I can do, and I know that helps us win.
Right.
I saw us struggle at times last year with both shooting and defense, but that's just so many things as far as like a brand new team, brand new coach. Like it's hard to. I definitely understand that, but I also feel like I could have helped last year even. And coaches told me I could have helped last year, and so now I'm just excited. Like as I said, I may start out at the bottom, I may start out high, but whatever it is, I'm going to maximize my role because that's the only way you get to play with freedom. And when you can play without limitations, that's when you're going to show yourself your true potential. So I think that's my goals for me. As a team, depending on what happens, I think this is just another year of growth. I think last year we made huge strides in setting a better culture at Trinity. They weren't the best school or the best team for basketball. It is what it is. But Coach Trevor came in and he immediately set the tone, said, this is what we want to do. This is how we want to do it. And I just think it's going to be another year of enforcing that. And people can see that we're on the verge of being good.
Right.
If you watch us, like those games against UBC, against Sask, against Alberta, even without you, like you can see we're on the verge. Like we are changing things at Trinity. And it's just exciting to be a part of that.
Yeah.
And so and we got a couple new recruits, new transfers, whatever. Like I'm excited to hoop with everyone. I'm excited to see where I fit, where everyone else fits, and I think if we just say, instead of saying, man, we're gonna win a championship this year, if we just say we're gonna grow, I think that can happen this year.
Yeah. And I think people need to understand too, like it's the old cliche, Rome wasn't built in a day. You're not gonna have a culture built overnight. And like you said, you guys saw the growth last year. You saw Coach Trevor come in and set that tone, the culture right away. And now last year is last year, what it was this year's a new year. Build on that and just keep moving forward. Don't look back, and then just keep moving. And who knows, this year could be the year. But as long as you said, grow and build off last year, you're going in the right direction, and things are changing for sure.
Yeah, I agree 100%. I that's what makes me so excited, because there's been teams, not in college, but in AAU or something, where I knew there was a certain culture of like not necessarily losing, but it's not a positive overall culture, and like, it's like this team right now. This is a team I'm excited to play for. This is a coach I'm excited to play for, and I haven't felt like that in a really long time. So
it's kind of nice to have that once in a while when you go through it for times where you don't have that excitement, kind of lose that passion to play, to have that come into a year like you're excited to play for Trevor, you're excited to just play with the guys. Like that does wonders for like your own confidence, and just reignites that fire that you might have lost previous year.
1,000%. Couldn't agree more.
I'm going to switch the speed round onto you. Steal it from Mike, the last one. The first one we've asked a lot of people. There might not be basketball questions. They might just be kind of random.
Okay.
This one has started some discussions on social media and podcasts. Does pineapple belong on pizza?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, it does.
That's a confident yes.
Oh, yeah. If you've had a Hawaiian pizza and you don't like it, that's your problem. But I like it, and it goes well. You just need a little ranch or some red pepper flakes. You're good.
Mm-hmm. See, like at the start too, like you said, you like your banter, your back and forth, respectful opinions. Then you throw that one in there, and it says if you don't like pineapple, then you're wrong.
Yeah, well, that's just you have Mike tries to make fun of me for having a childish palate. He calls it a chicken fingers and fries palate. That's what a chicken fingers and fries palate is, not liking pineapple on your pizza.
That's valid. That is valid. That is a bold statement. Yes, if you only ate a chicken finger and fry childish palate, you would not like pineapple. That's bold. Well said. Being dual, having Canadian citizenship and American, Smarties or M&Ms? Or do you have a preference?
I don't even know what Smarties are.
You don't know what Smarties are?
I think I've heard of them, but I don't think I've ever had them. I'm not gonna lie.
Ooh. Wow. Okay. It's basically the Canadian version of M&Ms.
So it's chocolate. Okay, so
it's chocolate but they're bigger. They're bigger than M&Ms, I think.
I'm gonna have to say M&Ms. You can't go wrong with some peanut M&Ms.
That's fair. Okay. Are there any like Canadian specific snacks that you've taken a liking to up here, like ketchup chips?
No.
No?
No, I hate ketchup chips. I hate poutine.
I don't like poutine either. I think it's a gravy thing. I don't know what it is.
Yeah, I don't know what it's. People are like, it's just like mashed potatoes and gravy. No, it's not.
No, it's not. Fries should be crispy.
Yes.
Not crispy. Soggy and gravy.
Oh, yes, 1,000%. I'm trying to think. I mean, obviously, Canadian. Yeah, I don't think there's anything like specifically Canadian that I've found that I like. Maybe I like to smother, like pancakes and eggs and all that. I put syrup on all of it, not just the pancakes. That's my thing.
Interesting. Syrup on your eggs.
Yes.
I got it. That's different. That's different.
It's different.
And 100%. I'm going to be honest. When I heard you say smother and then you went pancakes and eggs, I thought you were going to say ketchup.
Oh, no.
I was like,
If it's just scrambled eggs, you can put some ketchup on there. But if it's like the whole shebang,
The whole
with
breakfast.
eggs, bacon, it all goes smothered in syrup. I'll tell you that much.
There was a girl in my public school. I don't know why I remember this. She put ketchup on French toast.
Oh, that's nasty.
Mm-hmm. There's some things that don't happen. That is wrong. That is a wrong opinion on food. I don't get it. Okay, we'll have to get you onto some.
That is foul.
We'll have to get you onto some Canadian snacks then. We'll have to do like a second one of these where we do like a Canadian versus American like snack taste challenge. Like I have to eat American snacks I've never had before. You on the Canadian. I can't believe you haven't had Smarties. Mildly offended.
I literally haven't had Smarties. Yeah, I don't know. I'll go buy some right after this. Honestly,
just go to the don't waste your time. Just go to the dollar next time at the dollar store.
Sponsored by Four Quarters Media. I'll go get some Smarties.
I'll e-transfer you like $2 to go to the dollar store to get a couple boxes of Smarties for you and Mike to do next episode.
All right.
MJ or LeBron for the greatest of all time?
MJ. That's not even that was not even hard.
No.
Honestly, I'm taking Kobe over LeBron too.
Okay.
It's not. I can appreciate LeBron's greatness, but I don't think he's a killer.
No.
And that's just been reinforced to me by like a lot of books I've read and stuff. Like it's not just my opinion. Like it's backed up with facts and like specific moments. The dude is not a killer. I don't want the ball in his hands to close out a game.
No, I would agree to that 100%. I think I'm the same as you, MJ, Kobe, LeBron.
Mm-hmm.
In that group of three.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, MJ, not even close.
Not even
far
close.
And away. He's probably 1, 2, and 3. Just why not take all three?
Especially after watching The Last Dance. Especially.
Right. Did you binge watch that like as soon as they came out, like 2 episodes as they came out?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was making my girlfriend sit down and watch them with me. It was crazy. That MJ dude, he's different.
Something else.
Talk about different.
I was born 1990s, so I was young when a lot of this happened, like his early 90 years. I didn't realize how much I remembered or even knew I knew until I watched it back. But I made my wife wait until like 6 or 8 episodes came out because I couldn't bring myself to watch 2. Yeah. Have to wait 6 days and watch 2. Wait 6 days. I needed to have them like back to back to back to back.
But see, I couldn't do that just because I knew social media would be talking about the episodes that just came out.
But I don't think they don't really ruin anything because you already have the gist of what happens. Like you already know how it ends.
Yeah, I guess.
That's the way I sold it to her, was that we know how, or I know how it ends. She didn't, to an extent. So I kind of forced her to wait, which felt kind of nice.
To have some power.
We don't get that very often. It's usually happy wife, happy life. So it was nice to have a little bit of a carrot to dangle for a couple weeks, and then that went away real quick. So
no, here's the thing. My girlfriend didn't even want to finish watching it with me. So that's
tough.
I wanted to watch them the night they came out. So that was like 1 a.m. time here, right?
And she wouldn't do it?
It's not that she wouldn't do it. It's that I wouldn't wait for her till the next day. So then she was like, you can watch them. I'm like, okay.
Damn. That would be some like quiet breakfast conversation the next day. I'd be angry. I'd be salty. I would voluntarily sleep on the couch.
Well, I'm with her in her parents' house right now, so it was a little different dynamic.
Oh, okay, that makes sense then, yeah.
But it was like, here's the thing, her parents watched it all the way through themselves after, and I was talking about it with them more than I was with her, so I was like, man, this...
At least you had someone to talk to then in the house. At least it wasn't just you and texting people about it. You could actually have a physical conversation with people.
Yeah, 100%. But
she needs to, next time one of these comes out, she got to step her game up.
She needs to just straighten up.
As long as she doesn't hear this and get me in trouble, this might be the one time I get backlash on the show.
Oh, I'll make sure she listens. She needs to understand what it is to be a good girlfriend.
Oh, I'm not even gonna acknowledge that. I'm gonna let that one go. I'm just
Oh.
gonna let that one. That was all you. You dug that hole for yourself. I'm gonna move on.
Thank you.
Mike asked this one in your episode with Casey Bosch, and I think it's good. I'm gonna find I stole it from him. What piece of advice would you give your younger self?
Man, just don't expect anything
That's
because
fair.
I've been the best player on a team and I've been the 15th player on a team. And it's been easy for me when I was the best player on a team to go somewhere else or go to a different team and think it'll be the same. Like, it's not like that. People value you as a player, as a person differently. You can't go in with any expectations. You just need to work your ass off no matter where you're at.
That's valid.
The cliche of everything is earned, not given. Sometimes with politics that can be a little skewed, but I think the reality is if you're proving in practice that you're one of the top 7 players, you're going to be on the court.
Right.
And it's easy to be complacent. So you just can't expect anything.
I think that's fair. That a lot of people can, I think, learn from that.
Yeah.
You're not just going to get handouts. You got to earn it.
Mm-hmm.
Last one. What's the end goal for you once school's done, the real world's there? Is it the dream to play pro somewhere? Is it business side of it or whatever? Is it grow the podcast and make money off of it? Like what's Dan Lybbert's dream end goal? If you even have an idea of what it is at this point.
I have a pretty good idea. I definitely wanna play and make some money doing this. Okay. I've shown myself and those who believe in me enough flashes that I can do it against people at that level now, or people that went on and were at that level. That I can do it. I think it takes a lot of persistence, and I know it does. I don't think it's going to be easy, but I definitely will try and pursue playing professionally for. I would give myself a few years after I'm done at Trinity. I know I can do it, but what I never want to leave the game.
Okay.
I'm trying to, with the podcast and stuff, I'm trying to grow my skill set outside of basketball just so I can always have something to offer.
Right.
And obviously I'll get a degree and that opens a lot more doors as well, but I ultimately want to be a coach.
Okay.
I think my dream job to start would honestly to be like a scout for someone, just to travel and rate players, because I think there's too many guys where I read reports, or too many guys even that work at ESPN where I read what they write about players and I'm like, you're writing the same thing for every player.
It's just copy paste. Yeah. It's cookie cutter.
There's process. No real player analysis. There's like I think I would find a lot of joy in finding hidden gems at some podunk high school in the middle of nowhere, South Dakota, that can come at my D1 school.
Right. That's fair.
I just really want to help those who have been in the same positions as me maximize their potential. I don't want to, when I'm a coach, I'm not going to ever give empty promises. I'm going to be 100% real with everyone. And that's just something that's important to me, is to be able to run a team the way that I think is the right way. Because I think there's too many careers and too many opportunities and potentials that are never fulfilled based on the control or the value that a coach puts on you. So
that makes sense.
That's
being a guy who doesn't like cold, I would pick a different state than South Dakota.
Well, yeah.
It's a
But
little
like, you get what
chilly.
I was saying. Like,
Hundred
I'm gonna like
percent.
travel
But
up there and
yeah,
report back to UCLA. Be like, yes,
right.
we're taking this guy.
Yeah. Make sure you go there in like the summer league portion or the fall
Yeah,
because winter is gonna be hell.
I bet.
Any last words from you on what you guys got going on with the podcast? Anything you want to add on Trinity Western? Any tips for girlfriends out there to up their games? I'll kind of leave the last word to you if there's anything else you want to throw in there.
No, man. I just want to say thank you for having me on. As far as the driving kick, we're continuing to look to grow. If you or anyone listening has someone that you think we should have on, definitely DM us at driving kick, and we're trying to expand our network and expand who we're touching and who we're listening from as much as everyone else is or would want us to probably. Yeah, I just thank you for the opportunity to have me on. I know you're always looking for people, and I appreciate you reaching out to me to have me on. Like, I thought that was cool. So
Hey, we're always looking to tell as many stories as we can, and listening to what you guys have done at Driving Kick, it felt like it was only fitting to complete having both of you guys on. And we've gone back and forth a bit on Instagram, so this was a ton of fun. We'll link Driving Kick below. You guys are on iTunes, Spotify, basically wherever you can find a podcast. So be sure to check it out. But Dan, I really appreciate you doing this. Anytime you or Mike or anybody want to come on, have a spot for you here whenever we can make it happen.
yes, sir. And you two, this is gonna come back full circle, by the way, and you're gonna come on.
I don't know what I can bring to the table from a story standpoint. That's basketball related because I've said it before. Never played a single game of organized basketball in my life. I can,
Listen, but we're trying to get different perspectives, right? So
okay.
we got the player perspective. We're trying to get coaches. We're gonna have some football players on just because we're just trying to cover sports. We're trying to be on your level of just media outlet, not just basketball podcast.
I think I can bring something to the table then. Now you said that, there's something I can bring. If it's basketball, it'll be a quick 5 minutes, and then you'll probably be losing all the progression you've had. So, but anytime you want to do it, we'll make it happen.
Yes, sir.